The Seattle Kraken have traded Alex Wennberg to the New York Rangers. On today's episode, we'll talk about what we know about the deal and how it will impact the Seattle Kraken this season and beyond. That's coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you your favorite team every single day. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. I'm your host, Erica L. Ayala here. And as I said in our open, the trade for Alex Wennberg is official. For those who have been following along with us, Alex Wennberg missed the last two games in our back-to-back here. Those were because of trade deadline issues. Those were air quotes for those listening on audio. We talked about that on Monday's episode. Alex Wennberg, a centerman for the Seattle Kraken, is on his way to the New York Rangers. This is per the Seattle Kraken. I'm going to put up, for those watching on YouTube, I'll put up the copy of the email on the screen here in just a minute. But Alex Wennberg for draft picks. We were wondering what this trade was going to look like. It finally has come here this afternoon on Wednesday. The team returning from their road trip and back home. Makes a lot of sense to do the business at that point in time. Here is the email from the Seattle Kraken. I will read it to you. Today, the Seattle Kraken announced they have acquired a 2024 second-round draft pick and a conditional 2025 fourth-round draft pick previously acquired by the New York Rangers from Dallas. From the New York Rangers in exchange for forward Alex Wennberg. Additionally, Seattle will retain 50% of Wennberg's contract. Quote, "We want to thank Alex for his contribution to the Kraken over these last 3 seasons," said Seattle Kraken general manager Ron Francis. "Alex has been with our team since day one and was an important part of establishing our franchise. We wish him well in New York." So Wennberg had 100 points, 33 goals, 67 assists in 222 regular season games with the Kraken, ranking 5th on the team's all-time scoring list, adding 7 points, 2 goals, 5 assists in 14 playoff games with the Seattle Kraken. The Stockholm native signed with the Kraken as a free agent during the 2021 off season. So there you go. The news officially official. Alex Wennberg headed to the East Coast, headed to the New York Rangers. The Seattle Kraken now have some more picks. So with the picks that they acquired, the Seattle Kraken has 9 selections in this year, 2024 entry draft, set to take place in Las Vegas, June 28th and 29th. In addition to owning 6 of their own 7 picks, the Kraken's selections now include New York's second-round pick, in addition to Toronto's third-round pick from the Mark Giordano trade and Calgary's 7th-round pick from the Kelly Yarncroc trade. So more picks for the Seattle Kraken. We have seen the Seattle Kraken be able to steady the ship a little bit here when it comes to their own play. But of course, the question is, are there any more moves coming? We were asking, are the Seattle Kraken buyers, are the Seattle Kraken sellers? Either way, we felt they needed to do something and take action. With this trade, Alex Wennberg, no other active players involved. This to me kind of says that we're just looking to trade off for the future, not necessarily anything related to this season. Now, I suppose it's possible that the Seattle Kraken, it's March 6th as we're airing this Wednesday episode of Locked On Kraken, where you can find on all of your audio platforms and of course on YouTube. will we see some of these picks or some of the other picks that I lined up? Again, those 9 picks coming up in this year's draft. Will we see those become a part of another trade? I think it's a little unlikely, but we can talk about that coming up on today's episode. I do want to get into the Seattle Kraken and their win against the Winnipeg Jets, because they're going to play the Winnipeg Jets later this week on Friday. So the team will not hit the ice tonight. They are off today. Now, with the news of Alex Wennberg, I think it also could be interesting, and the team being home for a little bit here, it could be interesting to see if we see any players recalled from Coachella Valley. The reason that might be the case is, well, right now, Riker Evans is stepping into that role with Vince Dunn being injured. And now the Seattle Kraken also are not necessarily down a forward because, you do still have Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, but I wonder if they do consider bringing up Shane Wright, because we did see the lines from the other night. Jared McCann, even with Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, Jared McCann still centering a line with Jaden Schwartz and Oliver Bjorkstrand. So now if you like McCann, if you're okay with having McCann there, then I suppose you're fine. But if you feel that you need another centerman, even if you do keep McCann at center, but then maybe you bring Shane Wright in where Pierre-Edouard Bellemare is, that could also be something. But let's go over the lines before we talk about other moves in the next segment. The lines that we saw against the Winnipeg Jets, a 4-3 win, which was a dramatic finish. Andre Burakovsky, Yanni Gort, and Eli Tolvanen. We also saw Jaden Schwartz, Jared McCann, Oliver Bjorkstrand, I just mentioned that one, and then Tomas Tatar, Matty Beniers, and Jordan Eberle. The Tatar, Beniers, Eberle line saw the most minutes or most time on ice at 13:09, followed by Schwartz, McCann, Bjorkstrand at 11:34, and then 10:48 for Burakovsky, Gord, and Tolvanen. Now, we did see Berkey get a goal. We're actually going to hear from Andre Burakovsky about being able to get back into the scoring action. Here's what he had to say after the win against the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, I felt very good. It's been a battle with all the injuries and all the missed time, and I think I've been playing some really good hockey lately, creating a lot and skating a lot, and just kind of had post out all the time, and so it was nice to finally see one go in. I almost forgot what it feels like, so it was really nice.
Riker Evans passed you that puck as well. He hasn't been playing a ton lately, but what have you seen from him in his game when he has been in action?
No, he's a really skilled D-man. I mean, he skates really well. He's got a good vision for the game. I think every time he gets the puck, he looks very confident and makes plays and skating and gets out of tight situations. So it was a good game from Riker too, and it's good to see him back in the lineup.
You guys are going to see the Jets again right away on Friday. Basically, they're your next opponent. Is there anything that you take from this game in terms of what it took to beat them that you know can help you in that one again?
I mean, every game is always a little bit different. They might come out in a different way and play a little different, and obviously they're going to come out hungry in the next game and want to beat us next time, and we're just going to play our game. We're going to focus on us, play our game, get the pucks deep, win them back. Every time we get them below the goal line and chase them, we're getting the puck back most of the time, so that's where we're really good. So we're just going to keep that and keep fighting hard in front of our net.
Andre, obviously a big goal tonight, but is there something particular you like about playing the Jets or over a point a game against them over the last few years?
Honestly, I didn't even know that, but I mean, my childhood friend Nikolai Ehlers, we kind of grew up together, so it's always fun to go out and play against him.
So that was Andre Burakovsky, just talking about how it was really good to get back into the offense. We've been talking a lot about Berkey lately. I want to break down this game a little bit more. We'll also hear from Tomas Tatar. And then again, another question is, not only will the Seattle Kraken make any more moves, but then when it comes to this Winnipeg Jets team, a really close game. It took a lot of teamwork to get this win. Can the Seattle Kraken repeat that as they will host the Winnipeg Jets at Climate Pledge Arena? We'll get into that coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken is brought to you by our friends at Sleeper. And listen, there's so much going on with the Seattle Kraken right now. We saw the return of Joey Daccord in net. We saw, again, a really great team game against Winnipeg. Can they repeat it? But regardless of where the Seattle Kraken are in the standings right now, I want to remind you that you can win big playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. Now, you can also find on Sleeper NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, and much more. You can also talk with different groups and teams with a chat function on the app, and everything, including your entries, can be done swiftly. Entries can be made in under a minute. And to win on Sleeper, all you have to do is pick whether studs like Bjorkstrand, Tomas Tatar, or even Andre Burakovsky will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in any given game. To win 100x your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8-player stats. You heard me right, Kraken fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. You can use promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and that will get you up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. That's LOCKEDONNHL as your code. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken also brought to you by our friends at Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal information. Claims as of Q1 2024 validated by Radius Global Market. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to RRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires a Robinhood Gold account for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfer is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. We want to remind you to check out Locked On Sports Today, which you can watch on YouTube or also on your Amazon Fire TV. So check out Locked On Sports Today, where every day you'll have the experts across the Locked On network giving you the top sports news. The big news for us is that Alex Wennberg has been traded to the New York Rangers for 2 draft picks. We have the draft picks for 2024, which is going to be a second-round draft pick, and also a 2025 conditional 4th-round draft pick that was previously acquired from Dallas. The Rangers had that pick from Dallas. We talked about what the lineup changes were in the first segment. We saw Pierre-Edouard Bellemare get into the game for the first time. But like I said, now that we have this trade, are there more moves coming? Whether that means active players that the Seattle Kraken maybe want to trade to other places. We're at March 6th, so we still got 2 days before the trade deadline. And again, the Seattle Kraken are home. Does this mean that we will see someone like Shane Wright recalled or someone else recalled to have another centerman? We know Pierre-Edouard Bellemare is just coming back, and even though he's been healthy for the last handful of games, he's been a healthy scratch. So is that the writing on the wall, whether it's this trade deadline or down the road, that Pierre-Edouard Bellemare might not quite fit what the Seattle Kraken are looking for? He did speak to Piper Shaw during the broadcast yesterday. Other names, of course, that we've been hearing regarding the Seattle Kraken, and if they are truly sellers at this point, which again, getting 2 draft picks might be an indication that they're leaning more towards that. But of course is Jordan Eberle, Tomas Tatar, who scored last night against Winnipeg and has been doing really great for the team. We've heard even names in the past like Will Borgen. I think that it could be possible that there are more moves for the Kraken to make. I do think that we're going to see this roster pretty much shaken up in the off season. Now, whether some of that happens at the trade deadline, we still have to figure that out. But Tomas Tatar is definitely someone who has been getting this offensive engine for the Seattle Kraken going. And here's what he had to say after the win against Winnipeg.
That sequence at the end there, I mean, just your thoughts on how the team just really battled at those last moments.
What a team effort, coming here very late, back to back, like such an important game of the season, and we managed it, to grab 2 points. I mean, every line, every single guy in the locker room, chipped in, and that's just great to see.
You looked really fired up after your goal. How big was it for the team's momentum to get that goal in that moment as a response?
Yeah, they scored. Obviously, we want to have a good shift, bring a lot of energy. We end up scoring a goal, and like I said, it's just the importance of the game. We know how big are those 2 points, and just like for that effort, what we did through the 2 periods, I thought we deserve to be in it, and so it just was a lot of enjoyment in that goal for sure.
How proud are you of how the team's been able to really just be so resilient through this stretch? I mean, it's trade deadline week, Vince is out, you're on this back-to-back. Just what does that tell you about the identity of this group to battle like that?
That's awesome to see. Like I said, just friendship and everything, together, the camaraderie on the team is just amazing, battle for each other like that, and I'm very proud honestly of every guy in the locker room right now.
Just single one out. How about Andre Burakovsky?
Extremely happy for him too. He worked hard. He played a very well game, and he had few opportunities, and the goal couldn't come in a better timing than him. Then he scored.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
And so that was Tomas Tatar. You heard at the end him talking about the timeliness of the Burakovsky goal. Now, I've been very critical of Andre Burakovsky, more so the Andre Burakovsky situation. I have felt that there's been frustration bubbling over with Andre Burakovsky for this team. I've also felt that this team has relied too much on Andre Burakovsky to get this offense going, and we just haven't seen him healthy. But we heard from Andre earlier in the show, him saying that it has been a difficult road, and that we can attest to. I've said it, made it clear on the podcast before, not blaming his injuries. That being said, if you feel that you're kind of the go-to option on offense, I can see a world in which you do play a little bit more aggressive, a little bit harder, and at times a little bit more selfishly in order to get done what you feel or what you, even are being told your job is on this team. And I do think, I've said it for a while now, that Andre Burakovsky was supposed to be our engine when it came to offense. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken also brought to you by our friends at Indeed. No matter how the last game went, anytime you take the field, you've got a shot at greatness. Give your team the best shot at winning by recruiting more MVPs with Indeed. If you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find the candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. Indeed partners with you every step of the hiring process. Find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. And here's what you need to know in order to get to Indeed. Right now, you can start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Offer is valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/lockedon to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, then you need Indeed. All right, Seattle hockey fans, let's talk a little bit about this win against the Winnipeg Jets. I really didn't get into the Calgary game. I mean, I kind of agree with what we heard from Dave Haxtell. That was garbage. And by garbage, I mean how the Calgary Flames kind of played that game. The Seattle Kraken were able to get the win, which is the important thing, and then got a great win against the Winnipeg Jets. Both of our goaltenders have been great. Most recently, we saw that it was Joey Daccord in net against the Winnipeg Jets. Neither goalie, Hellebuck nor Daccord, officially, according to the post-game analysis by Allison Lucan, had what they would consider a quality start. But the shots on goal, 33 up for the Jets, 24 for the Seattle Kraken. Shot quality was about the same, 2.1 for the Jets, 2.0 for the Kraken. So 30 saves out of 33 for Joey Daccord in this game. Now, special teams has been good. We've gotten, in our last two games, shorthanded goals 2 times over by Jared McCann. We also got Andre Burakovsky on the board with, again, what you heard Tomas Tatar say, a critical goal at a critical time. That was a power play goal. So we're starting to see the Seattle Kraken convert on their chances. They went into the third period without a power play at all and are able to get a power play goal by Andre Burakovsky. That came at the 17:21 mark, and then some massive saves from Joey Daccord in the waning seconds of this game to get the win over the Winnipeg Jets. Now, if you look at natural stat trick and you look at the game flow chart, all of the game flow was in Winnipeg's corner. Now, that's why I think this year we definitely are leaning more into sellers, because we just have never had the consistency to take games into our own hands. Now, that being said, with yesterday's win, the Seattle Kraken are now in the wild card, are 4th behind St. Louis, Nashville, and the Vegas Golden Knights. St. Louis Blues also have 67 points, just like we do. The Predators, who've been streaking as of late, are at 73 points, tied with the Vegas Golden Knights. So we're getting within striking distance. We still have some wins we have to secure. And the Seattle Kraken will play a familiar opponent. Now, if you look at the shots on goal, the Seattle Kraken were outshot in the first and the third. Shots on goal were even in the second frame. I still do think we need to be a little bit better defensively, not create so many opportunities. I mean, one of the goals against Joey Daccord was kind of a cough up. The Seattle Kraken need to tighten up and be able to be more supportive of their goaltending. That's something that, especially if we happen to find ourselves in the playoffs, is the only thing that's going to keep us in the playoffs. But there's a lot of work still that the Seattle Kraken have to do, but overall trending in the right direction. Alexander Wennberg, he is the first move at this trade deadline 2024 for the Seattle Kraken. Will he be the only move? I think that is kind of a 50-50 toss-up. I do think that it's looking like the Seattle Kraken are more sellers than buyers at this point. Again, Wennberg traded for 2 draft picks in the next 2 years. But the Seattle Kraken do have a few options, which is nice. That being said, I really hope that what we do, whether it's at the trade deadline or at free agency and in the offseason, that we're moving towards the type of Seattle Kraken team that we want to be next year and in the future. That might include extending some players. We know We can't imagine that Matty Beniers is not a part of that conversation. A lot of people, myself included, would like to see Jordan Eberle extended. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Seattle Kraken do in the next handful of days, and we will have you covered here. As always, be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another. We hold fast, we stay true, and we say, let's go Kraken. I'll catch you up on more Kraken news on our next episode of Locked on Kraken. Until then, Erica L. Ayala signing out. Peace out, everybody.